Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Nadi Digital Economy in Malaysia. My name is Karamjit, and with me is my colleague, Dzof Azmi. We're from Digital News Asia, and we're going to launch straight into probably 4 stories this week that we found interesting, that we think would show the impact and how the digital economy in Malaysia is progressing or regressing. But we're not going to be talking about any politicians inspired news this week, which means that this week the digital economy did not regress. So anyway, with that little dig at the high quality of the political leadership we have at the moment in the country, let's move into one of our leading telcos, Maxis, which has surprisingly announced that they are now venturing into becoming an investor in startups, right? So you call it corporate venture building. And
Yeah.
for those who follow the telco space, would recall that probably around 2005, 2007, Maxis was already investing in startups back then also, right? In a small way. So now they're just going back to that. And it's very interesting. This announcement, I thought this would be an announcement that you would see their chief strategy or the CEO, being quoted, but instead it is the head of brand and marketing that they put forth as the spokesperson for this. But I think Tai Kam Leong used a lot of the right words, right? Digital economy, digitalization, innovation, right? Supporting Malaysian businesses. So it's all good there. And the company that they've taken a stake in is this cool name called GuruLab. So these guys have been around for a while. They are Malaysian-based, of course, right? Education analytics platform, and they specifically help teachers in delivering English lessons, right? Customized to students. So I have not been to this site, obviously, although my English just needs some improvement, and I probably should check out their site, I guess, off, right? Hopefully they have one for adult learners, and I would go and check it out. Maybe that's a new business, a revenue stream for them to explore. But on a more serious basis, it is fantastic that a telco like Digi is now investing in startups. So although they mentioned that they're interested in growth-driven startups, so it doesn't mean it's just they're going to stay in this education vertical. They may go to other
Mm.
verticals also. Obviously, you expect them to go into maybe metaverse or virtual reality based or augmented reality based content also, because now that Celcom has gone into that space also, although Celcom is going into that space by introducing apps that are already in the market, not investing in them, but we'll get to that story later. I think this is good. It will impel. I guarantee you, though, Zof, when the merger between Celcom and DG happens, and because they are launching this big innovation, unit also, right, as part of that merged entity, probably they're going to start making investment in startups. So, and for startups, that's something to look forward to. And already Maxis, going into this space is something to look forward to. The only thing I didn't like about this announcement is that you're investing in a startup, right? But the quote from the founder of the startup was way at the very bottom of the story, very, very deep in, right? And this is a gentleman called Yi Kai Song. Okay, EER, sorry, I'm pronouncing like ear, Ka Song. But he, of course, says we're excited and we're going to embark on a journey and we're going to do much more for our customers and for the market, right? And for
Mm.
students. So it's all good there. Zof, anything you want to add? Otherwise, I'll end up repeating myself, which is that it's a great
No,
move.
no,
And
I know.
I encourage the
I get.
competitors to do the same.
But isn't it in the old days you would just buy out this company, right? You would just acquire this company and then it would like
Ah,
be subsumed under you as a department or something. And
very good
now
point.
you
No,
talk.
they've learned the lesson. You don't want to do that. In fact, just today I had Teh Tarik with the telco boss, but not the subsidiary of a telco, not one of the big telco bosses. And he says that the way they're trying to make inroads also is to acquire companies which already have a market presence, have customer base, and this time they're not going to assimilate them into the telco, right? They say we want to absorb your our business unit wants to absorb your culture. So I think that's the
Mm.
right way to go. What you are talking about was the old mindset, and I'm sure Maxis, when in their version 1 of their corporate accelerator, they were doing that, but they've been humble. They've learned that you cannot do that. So I think the other thing will happen the other way around. So that's what I would say to that, Zof, your concern.
Yeah, I see a parallel in when banks talk about fintech, talk about especially the same sort of conversations, right? How are you going to absorb all this
Yeah,
innovation? Then
correct.
okay.
Okay, let's move on to now a listed, a unicorn from Southeast Asia, Grab, which was born in Malaysia, not far from where I speak. They coincidentally, set up base, very nearby where I live. And, founded by Malaysian, the core leadership team, I think, is probably still Malaysian. And if not,
Mhm.
Singapore can sue me. But anyway, they are now, branded themselves a Singapore company. No angst on my part, So Dzof, you want to take lead from this before my angst does come out?
No, this is a story, of course, that there was a press release put out, and that Grab is going into the mapping space, right? The
Yeah, man.
I don't know what you call it, the digital mapping, the
Yep.
mapping business. And obviously, when you talk about maps online, I think the first name everyone thinks of is Google Maps, right?
Oh, yeah,
I
of
mean,
course.
that's the first thing. And I was discussing just, a little bit skeptical whether this is really news, right? Because yes, if you I think if you call the API over a certain volume, you have to pay for it, and there's a certain element of business. Kind of like money left on the table
Yeah.
because they do advertising and stuff through there, which
Yes.
you as a consumer don't get hold of it. So Grab and this I've been seeing reports from as far back as 2018 have been trying to effectively build their own sort of mapping thing. At that time, they were using open source mapping to try to build the thing. But I think what was reported earlier this week was that they are ready to roll it out, and I believe it's by the Q3 of this year,
Three.
right?
Yeah.
Their own mapping software. And on the one hand, the way they talked about it was that, oh, this is good for our delivery guys, this is good for our riders.
Yep.
But I think a lot of people have looked at it as, does Grab want to go head to head against Google Maps? Because Grab actually very bluntly stated they see Southeast Asia's mapping market valued at $1 billion
1 billion US. Yep.
by 2025. And just to compare, Google Maps was a few years ago. Google Maps was expected grow to become a $11 billion business by about
Wow.
this year or next year. So that sort of shows you what your
Market
comparison
potential.
of
Yeah.
scale, right?
Yeah.
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 And Karam pointed out that the Grab's share price went up 50 cents on the back of this news. And I was saying, you announced you're doing your own mapping, your share price can go up as well, right? But I guess, Karam, if this is truly a sign of ambition, then I suppose, yeah, it would be rewarded with some optimism from investors. Do you see this, and maybe a lesson for Malaysian unicorns to be, right? The fact that they look like they need to diversify, right, in order to grow. Is this something that you just have to expect at this stage, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and
I
that's
don't know
just the way
whether
it
it's a
is?
lesson, but it's look, they've listed, they've got a lot of money still in the bank. They lost about 400 and just under 450 million US. So it's like 1.6 billion ringgit in the last 3 months of this year. And this is a Southeast Asian cost base, right? And you can lose
Mm.
1.7 billion ringgit. That is significant, about 440 million US
Wow.
dollars. Significant. So you obviously need to do something to narrow the gap, right? And this is a good business to be in because they've already got people hitting the streets, right? Going all these places, and they become
Mm.
your data collectors, right? Real time, you're updating your data real time. And I tell you, the market out there has got no loyalty to Google, right? Google Maps. So if somebody like them come, they can prove their map is as good and cheaper. People will migrate and use theirs. And of course, a lot of people are using Google Maps for free, but maybe they'll say,
Mm.
hey, and these guys are making a point, but theirs is also better. If you can convince the market you're better, then you'll start getting a lot more people to use your maps. and then suddenly your data becomes very valuable also, right? So you're
I
going to
can I
see
can
the market,
actually.
but you also have incredibly relevant granular information that you can use. And I bet you that their lending business and their micro insurance business also will come in when they have a corporate entity comes and say we want to subscribe to your map service, right? And they probably cut a deal, say that once we understand your user behavior, hey, we'd like to lend them money because you can see things happening. So
Mhm.
I love this move by Grab. It's great. And plus, they've got so many R&D people, right? They wanted to roll out 1,000 R&D unit in Malaysia. And I think they fall dramatically short of that. But they've got in Singapore high cost base. They've got in the US somewhere. And they've got in India, not so high cost base, but still high. And you got to use those people to do something else for you, right? Instead of just, working on your existing business. So, and I expect hopefully to see another new interesting product, being launched by Grab also.
Yeah, I mean, I was just about to say it just came to my mind that Google Maps gets this junction right in front of my house. It gets this junction really wrong. It thinks that I cannot just go straight. I have to turn left, make a U-turn, then
Okay.
go out again. And it's like, and so yeah, you're right. Google Maps isn't perfect.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And by the
uh,
way, right, there was a quote from someone. It says she added. I don't know who this she is. Oh, COO of Google, co-founder and CEO of Google, Tan Hui Ling, says that the back alleys and narrow side streets common across Southeast Asia often don't show up on conventional maps, but are navigated by our driver partners on a daily basis. So there you go. There will be an edge for them. But very few businesses will want to know where all the back alleys are and back lanes are. And I think
that's true.
criminal elements will probably be one of the early adopters, right? So I don't know. So police, you may want
No, no,
to
you see,
collaborate with them.
Karam, you see, the problem is you say this, right, and people will take it seriously and then will start quoting you. Like Karam says,
Oh, I said
criminal
it with a smile. But I did kind
Grab
of mean
Maps a boon for criminals.
it. No,
Next
no.
story.
Yeah. Next story. Okay, let's move on
Women,
to the next story
women
now.
in technology.
Yes.
Sorry, Malaysian Board of Technologists (MBOT) has established a committee called the Women Technologist Chapter, and the whole objective of this is to boost the number of technologist professionals amongst women. Now, I think you know the stats in terms of women doing science in universities, more than half. I mean, significantly. I mean, statistically,
Always. It's been for
significantly
a
more than
decade
half.
already, at least a decade. Yeah.
Are women. And yet, when it comes to looking at women in the workforce, according to MBOT President Dr. Siti Hamzah Tapsir said, it's only 20%. And there's a huge drop off. Now, when I was in one of my old jobs, we looked at this phenomena of why women in Malaysia drop out of work so quickly. And the really, really simple thing is what is repeated by Dr. Siti Hamisa here is that many women leave the workforce because they get married. And it was true 10 years ago, and it's still true now, unfortunately. But Karam, don't you think that with technology, you can be married at home and still do work? Isn't this what last 2 years has taught us? Or is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
really not as simple as that?
Yes, no, but a lot of businesses still expect staff, right, male and female, to end up, especially in the Klang Valley. We see it every day, right? I think most people are back at work already in the Klang Valley, so that makes it difficult. And just a micro example, right? My wife is actually we're taping this on a Friday night. We normally do this on a Saturday evening. It's about 10:30, right? And she at 9:30 she was not back home yet, and the two kids, because I was exercising, and the two kids were still waiting for her to come back for food for her. And then she called and said, "Hey, sort yourselves out," right? It tells you, right, that even among family members, you want your mom, right, your mother, to
Mhm.
come home and take care of your meal. So and I think women also feel that, and at some point they say, I'm sacrificing my family or what, they're not happy and I need to do it. And if you have a husband who's not so supportive and who makes enough, maybe. So a lot of factors, a lot of factors, but it should be higher based on the data point. There's so many women going into universities, and credit to them. And how is setting up a chapter like this going to work? There's so many, women in tech, geeks, geek goddesses who can code, and women rock stars, who cannot code and all that. You got so many organizations, and it doesn't move the needle that much. So,
I
this is
mean,
such a deep-rooted
it's not
and
just that.
instinctive and natural reaction, right, in the human psyche. How are you going to combat that unless you have a very supportive family structure, boom, and you have the most important is a very important family structure. And that's where your MBOT setting up association and all that, doesn't reach into. I have no answer to
I
this,
mean,
but that is the
I
crux
mean,
of the problem.
my observation, I've said it before, is that the number of women in high profile technological positions in Malaysia, there is a lot. I mean,
A lot, yes.
the CEO of MDEC was a woman,
Yeah.
the Minister of Science was a woman. Okay, now I'm saying using past tense.
Yes,
But not magic. What am I trying to say? TPM, Technology Park Malaysia, she's a woman, right? So it's not unusual to see Malaysian women in high technological, technopreneurial type roles. And yet, if this 20% number is still true, it's something's missing. There's some.
No. Okay, let's move on now. Very quickly, I'm going to take lead with this. So, like I mentioned this earlier during Maxis story, Celcom has introduced. They use the word metaverse in the headline, but it's actually augmented reality services and games, right? I think about 10 aggregated integrated consumer apps, right? AR, education, NFTs, all in one portal, and they partner with a company called Non-Voice Metaverse. And this is a global company. They very smartly decided to focus on 5G, not 5B, 5G based games, right? And you obviously with the higher speeds of 5G with less latency, you can do augmented reality and even virtual reality coming soon. So that you can check out the article for what are the various games on. But Celcom is saying that this is just going to help their, and this is T. Coogan, right? Their Chief Emerging Business Officer. So this is emerging space. Said that it says the metaverse is game changing, right? Virtual space, and it's going to transform the way we work, play, learn, and socialize. We've heard that before from many other technologies, right? Transform the way we play, work, and learn, socialize. But they see this as a potential, and they want to be the first ones to offer this in the market, and they may be the first ones. And there you are, right? So this is what's happening in that space, and I'm wondering how soon before somebody actually offers fully virtual, right, reality-based games. It's coming very soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if yes, it's the first one to do that. But let's see how it goes. And I will not mention what DNA is doing around that space, not yet, okay? And that's coming soon. But Dzof, anything you want to add to this before we end this week's show?
No, just to say that, I mean, it's clearly they had a plan. They were going to roll out 5G and then roll out these. I mean, to me, it's so obvious. And unfortunately, they just had to roll these out before the 5G rollout happened for them. So.
Well,
but it's okay. I mean,
come soon. I'm sure they'll be doing their 5G rollout soon. Yep. With that,
a little bit.
Everyone, take care.